so excited to have you back today. Listen, if you're brand new here, here's what you need to know. We believe in this community that wealth is so much more than just money and material possessions. We believe in the original 12th century definition of wealth, which says it's about the condition of well being and happiness. So that means what to you? It doesn't mean that we don't care about money. It just means that we don't make every decision based on money alone, because that is operating from fear and not faith. So I don't ever want us to get it twisted. And I know I don't always have a lot of money pillar guests on. I'm trying to do better this year about doing that. And that's why I invited one of my favorite people from Facebook to come and talk to us today about what it means to be unapologetically wealthy. Maybe you've already heard of this young woman. If you haven't, you are in for a treat. Natalie Bullen is the founder of Unapologetic Wealth and a revenue and wealth coach. She's on a mission to empower small business owners to build well capitalized, impact driven businesses. With a background as a securities licensed financial professional, she helps clients shatter revenue goals through high ticket sales strategies. She is so bold. She is so brilliant. She's on fire on Facebook. You'll hear why in a second. After the affirmation of the day, the next thing you'll hear is my conversation with the one, the only Nat Bullen. Welcome to the Redefining Wealth podcast, Nat.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored.
Girl, I am honored. You are on fire on Facebook. So I've been Facebook friends with you for several months now. I got to meet you in person at a live event last year. And ever since, I was just trying to get you to take one of your Facebook friends off so that we could be a Facebook friend. And I'm so glad. I have to tell you, the thing that I enjoy most about your Facebook presence is how consistent you are. Right now in the Redefining Wealth community, we are in a 365-day consistency challenge. And what I've been talking about, so I go live in my app every single day, rain or shine, nasally or not, like I
Love
go
it.
live every day. And the thing that I said is, I felt like God was saying, this is not only about what your life could look like if you showed up consistently for a year, but what if you showing up consistently had the power to change the next decade for you? Because when you're showing up, whatever that looks like for you, sometimes, like in your instance, people may not be ready for you at that time, but
Yeah.
you are ingraining in them that you are a person they can trust and that they can go to. And I believe, just in the way that I see you show up, in 2030, people are going to be like, I remember how Nat Bullen
Yeah.
was showing up, going in on Facebook every
Every
day.
day. Yeah.
And that's my coach, right?
Yeah.
So, what makes you show up the way that you do?
Yeah. You know what? I think I'm blessed to have a family with longevity. So I'm used to seeing decades of consistent behavior be modeled to me. Three of my four grandparents lived into their 90s. I have a 50-50 chance of living to be age 100 per my genetic testing. My great grandmother was a school teacher who never missed a day at school, even when both of her legs had been amputated from diabetes.
Wow.
What's my excuse? The Campbells are hard to beat. You have not met my folks, but my great grandma Mary was a teacher. Her son John Henry was a teacher. My mom Annie Mary is a teacher. So they look at me like, you gonna be educating people every day, right? That's what you're gonna do. We went to church
Wow.
every Sunday. It wasn't, do you feel like going to church? That was not a question in my, do you feel like going? You want to go to church now? It was, hi, it's Sunday. Get on your clothes. We're going to church. Hi,
Mhm.
it's a school day. You're well. You're going to school. So I think I just never have been modeled I've never seen success in an inconsistent way. I don't know inconsistent, successful people. So when I look to model my life for success, just like I model wealthy people, I model successful people, and I haven't met an inconsistent successful person in any regard.
Baby, say that.
Ain't met them. So maybe if I meet these lazy, inconsistent, do it when they feel like it people who tend to be real successful, I will change. But in the meantime, no, no, ma'am.
Listen, I'm still waiting to meet one. I haven't met
I'm
one.
still
And I
waiting.
think
I've been
that
waiting.
I think that people get confused, like the idea of doing things with ease and it being easy, right?
Those
So
aren't the
I
same
have,
thing.
and they're not the same thing. And I definitely am aiming to do more and more with ease, but I still recognize I'm going to show up. I'm not expecting it to
Yeah,
be easy. And I think the reason that people fall off on consistency is they want something easy. It's easy to not do anything.
it's
It's
deeper than that. It's deeper than that. They don't expect it to be easy. They expect to get results really fast.
oh, talk about it, Nat.
They expect to get results really fast. People are accustomed in their mind to a microwave society. Think about it. When we were growing up, we did not watch the Kardashians, other than maybe lifestyles of the rich and famous, maybe cribs, which most of those houses were rented. You didn't even know what the inside of a rich person's house looked like when you were 8 years old. You didn't know what liposuction was when you were 12 years old. A 12-year-old right now knows what they know what a BBL is, because we are so accustomed now to a microwave society that says if you don't like something about yourself, you can change it. Today,
In
tomorrow, you got
in an
enough money.
instant,
In an
like,
instant, you can change it. If you're lonely, you can go lie on TikTok, make up a story, and go viral overnight and create thousands of parasocial relationships. You whatever you want. So people are confused by the real pillar of success, which is doing things that are very uncomfortable for a very long period of time and having most of your ideas fail until something works long enough for you to make some money. That's the real definition of success. But we're so used to it work fast, it work fast, it work fast, that we don't accept that trial and error period. So people will say, Natalie, I tried doing what you do on Facebook. I tried to show up every day. Okay,
how
how
long?
long did
How
you
long?
try? Two
How long?
weeks. 2 weeks. And I'm like, so what happened in 2 weeks? I didn't get any clients. No, that's what did not happen. What did happen in 2 weeks? Pull up your analytics. Did you get more views? I don't know. Did you get more likes and shares? I don't know. Did you grow your email list? I don't know. Did more people see your offer? I don't know. So the only thing you tracked was the lagging indicator of did I close a client? You didn't track any of the leading indicators of your effort so that you could fine tune what worked and what didn't work. You just decided since you didn't make no money in 2 weeks, you was going to quit.
Girl.
How is that working out for you? They think it's going to be fast. My overnight success took 7 years, and that was 3.5 years ago. So it is
Yeah.
comical to me when I meet folks who are like, I posted every day for a month and I didn't make any money. Baby, I've been posting every day for years. What are you talking about? And it's not even
Well,
about
this
the
is
posting, it's about the habit. You got to get in a
yes.
habit of some degree. It could be once a week, it could be a newsletter, but you've got to be consistent on whatever cadence consistency means for you. And you can't quit just because you don't like the outcome that you got.
Yeah. I always tell people too, when I was posting all the time or going live all the time on Facebook years ago, I said, I've been saying the same things for so many years. It was about building my voice. I see things now that I posted in 2011 and 2012, and I sound like a broken record. I'm like, girl, you've been saying that for 13 years, 15 years, yeah. And I'm like, it's not new. And that's the thing though. By me showing up over and over again, it strengthened my own conviction in my beliefs so that when I do show up, what does help people convert is that I am sold out for what I believe. I have
Yeah,
such confidence and conviction. But when you only say it here and there, and then you say it for 2 weeks, and then you're trying to figure out why doesn't anyone believe me, you don't even believe you yet. So what are they supposed to buy into when you don't carry a
I
strong
love that.
belief? And that belief comes from the consistency.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's also interesting too that people say they don't want to be a broken record. They're like, I don't want to say the same thing over and
I do.
over.
I do.
And I'm like, but why not? You're telling me you want to have to come up with brand new content ideas 365 times a year? Who are you, Cat Williams? Like, do you really want new material all the time? Because I'm pretty funny. I've done amateur stand up. Let me tell you something. It is very difficult to come up with new material. It is so hard to come up with something funny that no one has ever said before. I would
Mhm.
much rather be a broken record on the internet with the same. I only say three things. Three things. I say sell every day. I say you deserve to be rich. And I say until you see yourself as the main character, nobody else will. I might use
Mhm.
different words to convey those things, but I say the same exact things every day on the internet. And that's why people believe me. But you're right. Most people don't believe themselves and they're still whispering into a void, hoping it's duplicitous. My mom tells me
Mhm.
all the time a double minded man is unstable in all of his ways.
Oof.
People are double minded. They want to be behind the scenes so that they don't get embarrassed in center in case it works. You cannot have both. So you're going to have to decide, are you willing to get front and center and take the risk and be embarrassed or have some whatever, some negative feelings come up potentially if it don't work out, or are you going to be in the background and never get a big reward? You cannot have reward without risk in anything, in the stock market, in your real estate, in your health and wellness. You will have to risk something: your time, your energy, your effort, your reputation, your goodwill. Something will be at
Mhm.
risk. And if your identity is attached to winning, you only feel good about yourself when you win. That's what keeps people from being consistent. That's what keeps people from being successful, because they don't want to take the
Mhm.
risk that their effort might fail, because that makes them a failure and they can't handle that. When I fail, I think to myself, that tactic failed, that
Right.
strategy failed,
Right.
that market failed, that offer failed. I never think Natalie Bullen failed because I am infallible. But I think that is a novel concept for people. And I don't think people have figured out that their net worth and their self worth are detached. They have
Mhm.
attached them and they think, you know what? If this fails, it's indicative of it says something about me. And it says something about
Yeah.
me that I don't like. And so I would just rather not try.
Yeah, I see anything that could be perceived as failure as a lesson or a blessing. Like, I never
Yeah.
take those things personally. It's always an invitation to take inventory. Okay, what could I have done
Mm,
differently? What did work? What did I like about that process? What did I not like about that process? What was
yeah.
aligned for me? What was completely misaligned? For
Yeah.
me, I recognize that every time I try to force myself to do things that are out of alignment, like, it's because there's so many ways to do things, right?
Every time.
So find a way that aligns with your personality, with your market, with whatever you're
Mhm.
doing, with however you want to show up. But you find a way that aligns. And all I see when something doesn't go the way I may have desired it to go, or it just didn't turn out, I do not see Patrice Washington as a failure ever. Like,
Ever.
I
I
literally
can't.
ever. I cannot make a wrong choice. I make choices and I align and realign. There is no, and that's the thing, like you said, I feel like people don't do things because they're so afraid of making the poor choice or the wrong choice. And there are things that may be more difficult to recover from, but most things you can
Right.
recover from. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
And they don't want to take responsibility for what if it doesn't work. I have
Right.
no problem with taking responsibility, because to me it's just okay, so that didn't work in this way. What do I want to do next? There's no stopping. Once I have a
Not
vision
for
in my
me.
mind, there's no stopping. I'm
There's no
still
stopping.
committed to the vision. I
Yeah.
have learned to be detached from how I get there. So if this path didn't work, cool, let's pivot. Okay, I'm going to go down a different path. That didn't, oh, I like that. I like some of that. Let me take that with me. Okay, let's go over
Yeah.
here. I think a lot of people's programs, courses, offerings fail because they give up after the first iteration. I've done
Yeah.
things several times. I've launched things multiple times in
Multiple
different
times.
ways until I found the rhythm that I liked the most. And then
Agreed.
people are like, "Oh, you did X amount of dollars on that thing." Yeah, but this wasn't the first iteration. Had I given up based on what you may have considered a failure, we wouldn't be here. And to
Right.
me, it's so much bigger than just me and my business. I think
Mhm.
about my clients. They're real people with real families, with real
Yeah,
lives. And had I given up at the first iteration that may have quote unquote failed, I look at now hundreds, thousands of people that would not have gotten what they needed to get from me because I was too
mm,
caught up in thinking it was all about me.
I
I'm not
love that.
bothered by that.
I love that. I will say you are absolutely correct. And
Mm.
you have a pillar of financial stewardship that allows you to make a decision without putting your entire company at risk. And so, what I see often
Today, today,
today, right? I have not preached that. Today, we have it.
today,
Sometimes
yeah,
I meet people who unfortunately have put all of their eggs in that iteration. They've spent 30,000 in ads, 20,000 on the CMO, they've paid affiliates and etc. They literally can't have it not fail. And so for the listener, I just want to remind you that today is a great day for you to make sure that the offers, the programs, the clients you serve do not pull you from being financially solvent. And that anything you embark on is an experiment. And that you would never take the money you need to pay your mortgage into an experiment. Because that is one way to put your nervous system in such a fight or flight that even if you do succeed, you don't feel like you succeeded. There have been
right.
times where I won, but the chase wore me. I didn't win enough to make the effort worth it. And so now I'm very particular about that alignment, taking the right client, selling the right offer at the right price point. And if it takes longer to get the enrollments, if we need to scrap the name, if we need to change the format, if we need to move it from Facebook to Circle, if we need to take a hiatus, if I need to find another co-coach, so be it. But I planned for something that's going to take 1 to 2 years to be successful. I made a post on Facebook one day and asked people, how long did it take you to get your signature offer to be your
Hmm.
flagship? So that thing that you loved, how many cohorts, how many years, how many times? The average was 7 iterations.
Hmm.
7 iterations was what the people who were making 6 and 7 figures like clockwork every year on their program, who now called it a flagship. So if you're in year 1 or year 2, it is completely asinine for you to think this is going to be blockbuster. It's going to work immediately. Everyone enrolled is going to get results. I'm going to post once a week on Facebook and promote it. I'm not going to run ads. I'm not going to tell anybody. And it's just going to rain money out the sky. It doesn't. And that's part of why I respect you so much, because you do not lie about the amount of effort that it has taken to get you to this point. And I can't
Hmm.
help but think that sometimes the guru minimization of effort, pretending as though these things are very easy to get enrollments into their programs, contributes to people feeling like failures. Most of the entrepreneurs that I talk to who are discouraged about what they pay themselves, discouraged about their earnings, are so far from the reality of what it takes to build a company because someone somewhere has told them this should be easy. And they truly believe that they're doing something wrong when it is not. But I'm all in.
Oh, you know what really ticks me off? So let's get into it. So, what
Okay.
really ticks me off are the online gurus or whatever that make people feel also like they are a failure if they keep their 9 to 5 while building the business. I have said for so many years, just because you are operating from purpose does not mean that you need to be an entrepreneur. I don't think that everybody necessarily must be an entrepreneur. I do think everyone needs to know how to monetize their gifts. I do think that is important
Yes.
so that if a job is ever taken from you, you can turn around and figure out what you can do with what your God given gifts are on a dime.
Yes.
I do think that is important to know. And I have seen so many people who are going back into the workforce. These last few years have been difficult for a lot of online people, and they coming out of the bubble of COVID where it seemed easy to start a business or have something online. And so a lot of people are going back and they are getting their health insurance and having that 401k matching. And
Yes.
I'm like, clap it up, good for you. And then I see other people who are well known in the space who are shaming people for that. And
Yeah.
it drives me up a wall? Why would you be shaming
Because
people?
it suits their purpose. There are people, everyone is not a good person.
Wow.
Everyone is not a good person. Some people are in business to exist to have profit, and they want the largest total addressable market possible. And the total addressable market of entrepreneurs is relatively small. Full-time entrepreneurs are a very small segment of Americans at large. There's 300 million Americans. Way more of them have jobs than are self-employed. So to increase their total addressable market, they start attacking people with jobs. It's a huge swath of people, and they convince them to quit their jobs. They're increasing their total addressable market. That's all they're doing. They don't care about the ethics of it. They don't care about these people's retirement. They just care that they have more bodies to sell stuff to. I'm team keep your job. I'm going to say something controversial, and I'm going to say it anyway because I can say it because I'm unapologetic. If you cannot pay yourself a salary, if you cannot pay full-time pay, but you're working full-time hours in your business, you got scammed. Keep your day job. If you don't have $10,000 in savings, if you don't have anything saved for retirement, if you got bad credit and maxed out credit cards, keep your job. Do not let the enemy convince you that entrepreneurs are having a ball and that employees are struggling. Because, baby, I know people making $200,000 a year working from home, living the life. They living a way better life than me. Because being an entrepreneur, you have 3 full-time jobs. You have the job of the visionary, you have a job as the leader and manager, and you have the job of fulfillment. And until you can hire enough team to push you out of those roles, you have to do 40 hours a week in all 3. And it's only 168 hours in a week. So do you want to spend 120 of them marketing, selling, compliance, legal, risk, product development, naming, client experience, customer service? It's not easier, and it's not more lucrative in the beginning. Don't let these people tell you we have a 6-figure business. Right, but you got a 6-figure salary. Act like you got some sense. Right. I have never had a 6-figure salary. I had an MBA, securities license, 663, 65. I was a junior financial advisor in the most affluent zip code in Alabama. My salary was $51,000 when I quit. Wow. Less than 3 years ago. This wasn't no 10, 12 year ago salary. This was 2022. 51,000. If I wanted more than that, it was commission. I had to beg racist white people to do deals with me. I had to put white colleagues in the room to make it seem as though we were in a consortium because they wouldn't sign the deal with just me. And I still ain't want to quit that job. I quit my job because I had to, because they saw my business as a conflict of interest. I would still be working at Wells Fargo. Don't get it twisted. Do not leave your 6-figure job, 5-figure bonus, 4% match 401k, long-term care insurance, knowing that you're financially undisciplined, carry a balance on your credit cards, don't have life insurance on your children. Do not let the enemy push you into poverty. I weep a little bit when I see people who are entrepreneurs filing bankruptcy every 5 years just to say that they have freedom. Baby, debt is the new slavery. You are not free if you and your husband cannot take a vacation once a year. What good is free time if you can't do anything with it but work? Wealth is not linear. You can get wealthy working a job. You can get wealthy being a dualpreneur and doing both. If your business is doing well, I commend you. Mine is. I love that for you. But don't ever think you too good to be an employee, because that is a lack mindset. It also is going to make it very difficult for you to scale that company you love, because if you think employees are less than, how are you going to treat yours? Woo. Who do you expect to come work in your company while you doing all that rah-rah about how employee mindsets and college produces employees? And I'm not working for you because you're hateful. So just be careful with the rhetoric, the casual covenants you make with lack that say that an employee is an inferior being to an entrepreneur. Because I put my 401k from Wells Fargo up against damn near any entrepreneur you know. The number is legit. So we got to be careful with the way that we position things when we're saying to God, I want you to grow my company, but we're also saying, I think employees are stupid.
Wow.
Again, that double-mindedness, we can't have both. And I want to die rich. I want to be able to go to church. And if the church is having a fundraiser, I want to be able to stand up and say, I got it, and write a
Hmm.
check. I want to be able to give to the United Negro College Fund every year. I want to be able to give to Wikimedia every year. I want to be able to end. I want it all. I want to be able to give. I want my parents to do well. I want them in paid off homes. I want myself in a paid off home. I want a home here and a home in France. I want my husband to have a state of the art studio where he can paint and sculpt and take photos of people from all over the world. That's what I want. I'm not going to get there
Mm.
if my income is limited. So, whatever it takes to get the income that I need, to make the investments, to get the returns, for me to be rich, that's what I'm going to do. The line of demarcation between whether it's a 1099 or whether it's a W 2 matters not to me. In fact, my company is structured in such a way that I'm an employee of Unapologetic Wealth, and
Same.
Unapologetic Wealth has a 401k. So
Same.
I created an employee space in my own business because I actually like being an employee. I like having a schedule. I like having off days. I like having a set thing to do. And if that's not you, that's cool. But don't let a millionaire, a multi-millionaire tell you to quit your job. Don't do it. Don't let somebody in a different socioeconomic, don't let somebody in this tax bracket have you tripping. You going to your husband trying to
I
explain why you can't help pay the mortgage.
I really believe though that there's such a disconnect. I think that people experience some type of ascent in their own business and then they completely get disconnected from what it's like to first be starting out. And I think it does a disservice to people. To speak to people
Fair.
via the lens that you are at now is just so unfair. Like in Purpose to Platform, I used to always tell people, don't you go quit your job. Like, don't you tell people that I'm telling you to quit your job. Now, people would end up quitting, and I've had clients who've gone on and done very well, but
Mhm.
I used to always give that disclaimer. Don't you go tell your husband I said nothing about quitting jobs. My clients will tell you. I'm like, no, no, no. This entrepreneurship is ghetto. Like, it can feel very ghetto. And it takes a lot of mental fortitude to really be in this for the long haul. But what really frustrates me is when I hear people, like you said, you're a millionaire because you said so. We don't really know because a lot of people lie about that too. But you are calling yourself a millionaire, saying that you're a seven figure earner, which I recently learned through your Facebook group. And you might find this ironic, but I really didn't know. I learned through your Facebook group, Future Millionaires, that people would add up years of their income and then
So
pass it
crazy.
off
They
as
would try
like
to
a
aggregate data. Yeah, it's bad. Not everyone, but there
right.
are definitely people who are saying seven figures in cumulative sales over an extended period of years, not one calendar year or one fiscal year, which to me, that, and what's crazy, the people who tell that story pretend like they don't know they're lying. But you would never say you had a six-figure job if you were making 20,000 a year and it took you 5 years to make that 100K. You would never say that, right? So I'm like,
Right.
y'all not cumulatively add nothing else. It's only revenue. And there's also such a distinction between being a millionaire, which is a human being with a net worth, assets minus liabilities that are greater than $1 million,
Hmm.
and being a seven-figure business owner, which is a human being who has a majority stake in a company whose top line revenue in 1 year was $1 million.
Hmm.
Those things are very separate. And so
Hmm.
people will covet top line revenue. I know seven-figure business owners that pay themselves less than I do because their expenses are rampant. Their chargebacks are crazy. People are getting kicked off Stripe and Square because they're having disputes every week, every month.
Girl.
Had one chargeback in this business. There are people who can't keep a payment processor because they have so much discord and turmoil and back and forth because they aren't doing what they say they're supposed to do. So yeah, maybe they did get $1 million in the account, but if 400,000 of it went out in chargebacks and refunds and legal fees, and another 200,000 in team, and another 100,000 in affiliates because they don't know how to sell, so they got to try and get a whole bunch of randos to sell their stuff for them, and they don't have a legal support, so they're overpaying people, and their contracts aren't valid. The profit is less than 10%. So on 7 figures, if you didn't net 100,000, I'm really not listening. That's
I'm not
not even a
impressed.
business worth. That's not a business worth
But
having.
and those are some of the same people that will convince folks to leave their job, to
And
come
this is why
do
I
what they're
tell
doing.
folks, until you see people's P&L and their personal tax return, you don't know what's going on. And I don't know anybody who's hired anybody who's seen both of those pieces of information before they paid. So you don't really know. I was a financial advisor, and when I first started my business, I was doing financial coaching. I actually got P&Ls from people. If you wanted private coaching with me, so I knew the kind of lies that were going on in the industry. I saw the way people would cook the books. So I have a very different viewpoint of the landscape online. If people had to put their P&L on their sales page, a lot of things would be very different. If the buyer could see the inner workings, how much of this money got spent on coaches, how much of this money got spent on consultants, how much of this money got spent on tech, how much of this money is left in profit, are they current on their taxes, how much of this went to the owner. I think if people had the whole picture, they would be much less impressed by the gurus online. But unfortunately, all you have to do is appear to be wealthy. I could pretend to be a decamillionaire easy. I could convince people that I had a net worth of $10 million. It would not be hard to do. It would not be hard to do. I could tell people I live in Alabama because my mom is here. I could get a real fancy setup in this room. I could rent a car. I could do it. I have no interest in it. But there are people whose whole scheme is in their appearances and what people think that they have. I don't want people to hire me because I'm rich. I want people to hire me because I can make them rich.
Mm-hmm.
But I won't say I'm losing money that way, but I am not earning what someone who would manipulate facts would earn. I'm
Oh,
okay with that,
baby.
but it's unfortunate that people are that way. I think there also is
Mm-hmm.
some onus on the buyer, right? Like it's therapy and somatic work and embodiment work and really being closer to the Holy Spirit have all shown me where I used to pay for camaraderie because I was lonely. I used to pay for my ego to prove what I already knew or to prove that I knew it better than the person that was teaching. I would buy programs that I could have led. I was buying for the wrong reason. So I've also had to internalize my own motivations between hiring people. What exactly am I paying for? Or what am I
Mm-hmm.
hoping to gain, and getting smarter in that regard too. But baby, ain't nobody talking me out that job. And unlike a lot of people who speak this over themselves, I'm not unemployable. My heart sinks when I read entrepreneurs call themselves that. They say they are unemployable, as if to say this business is the only thing they can ever do the rest of their lives. And I'm like, why? If you're unemployable, how are you running this business? Isn't it some of the same function? Isn't it the
Mm.
same type of I don't understand. You're saying that the way you run your company is so distinct from every corporation in the world that there's not even one company that you could clock into. That is an interesting mindset for me. I feel as though God has given me a gift, and my gift is apparent in every setting. When I waited tables at Cracker Barrel, I was exceptional. So it's hard for me to believe that I couldn't showcase my gift in any setting where I was placed. I don't think it has to be the entrepreneur setting. I'm blessed that right now the entrepreneur life is working for me, but I will never pigeonhole myself and say this is the only thing that I'm ever going to be
Mm.
qualified to do for the rest of my life. In fact, once the stock market start popping off for me, y'all might not see me no more.
So let's get to that. I love that you're a revenue coach and wealth strategist. And so I saw on your website, you believe that, let's see, a high revenue company should personally benefit the person
Yeah,
who's
the
doing the work.
founder,
So you,
the
the
owner.
founder.
Yeah.
So you teach in your program, is it Birthright?
Yeah.
Tell us about Birthright.
Oh, Birthright is a love child. Birthright is such a blessing. Birthright is a money mindset and wealth foundation program for women entrepreneurs in the messy middle. It's the business equivalent of a Henry. Have you ever heard of Henry? High earner, not rich yet. Henry is a popular acronym in the financial community. So, a lot of my clients who come into Birthright have made money. They have touched millions, but not very much of it has made them personally wealthy. So their personal IRA, very light. Their knowledge of the stock market, non-existent. Their pay to themselves, not commensurate with what they have been doing in their businesses. So our objective in Birthright is to do two things. Is to help them improve their relationship with money so that they feel worthy to be rich. When you grow up middle class, blue collar, hardworking parents, you don't see money as for you. I grew up in Mobile, Alabama. I will be the first to admit that as a child, I never saw myself as rich. I never thought to myself, I am destined to be rich. That is absolutely going to happen to me. So that's something I've had to train myself to believe. And then because of my past financial background, I can actually do some of the tactical stuff too. How do you forecast and budget? How do you actually hit your sales goals so that you can pay yourself and give yourself a raise? How can you set up a SEP IRA? How do you choose the right accountant? Choose the right service provider to help you navigate this wealth space. When I used to work at the bank, it was very stark to me when men would come in, especially when white men would come into the branch to open bank accounts. They would come with a briefcase and documents drafted by lawyers. They'd bring me a check of $5 or $10 or $20,000. They would come with a business partner or a parent, or they would have a tribe. And when women, especially Black women, would open accounts, we would come with the minimum $25. And I would have to sign an affidavit on their behalf. We would have to draft documents at the bank. I'd have to give them fillable forms because they wouldn't always have the documents that we needed to be able to open the account. And so I realized early on, we just don't have the family offices and the support. We don't have, oh, you have an illegal problem, just call our family attorney. That's not something we've had access to. So when we start to build our financial dream team, we don't know where to start. Should I a bookkeeper? Should I an EA, a CPA? What are these acronyms? So I've really focused on how do I make this easy for people? And so we have calls, but we also have what I call my audio glossary. So they have a daily private podcast. They can pop me in their ear, listen to it. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. We've had women go from paying themselves nothing to paying themselves $60,000 a year salary. We've had people who were behind in their taxes 2 or 3 years make enough and fund enough to get caught up. We've had people hire CFOs, CPAs, open brokerage accounts with Charles Schwab, get wills, get a trust, get life insurance for the first time. I mean, I am changing lives in this program. I'm so proud of it. And I think it's a testament to what you mentioned earlier. It's not selling the way that my other programs sell. And I can say that candidly.
Really?
And wealth is a hard sell because people have to have a belief system already that they can earn enough money and that they're good. There's some inner work that has to happen. And there are way less six-figure entrepreneurs than our brains tell us. Patrice, you've been making money for a long time, so you might not be familiar with the statistics. But statistically, the average Black woman in business, the last time American Express did the study, in a whole year made $24,000 in gross revenue. That is the average for Black women in business. 24,000. Top line revenue annual. So you ain't know that. So if
My eyes are, just for the
it's,
listener, my
it's
eyes
crazy.
are so open.
Yeah.
You know what it is though? Most of my clients have careers and they have businesses
See?
they're building on the side.
Right.
Most
So you're
most of
accustomed
my
to that
intimate
dual income.
clients,
Yeah.
yeah, most of my intimate clients are six-figure earners who are building
Same.
something on the side and they want to do it in alignment. And so I'm really
Same.
more focused on the personal development side. I feel like I'm perfect for you though, because I get people prepared for you. I get them
Exactly.
prepared to be
That's why we go
able.
connect, because that's it. But my point is your people have something to build wealth with. They have a six-figure salary that they can feel good about. So they are well positioned to invest and take risks and get that trust set up. They have assets and a home and a husband and children to protect. It makes sense. But if the average entrepreneurs business is making 24,000, Black women, I think for Latina women it's 39,000. I believe for white women it's 74,000. These are averages. So if you've got a program where people need to be between 100,000 and 500,000, you've already excluded an incredible swath of the market. So it's not that people don't want birthright. I think they just feel like they're not ready for it or they don't have the revenue for it, which is why I still have sales programs. I think I'll always have sales programs. The number one rebellious act that you can do as a person is be rich. It is the strongest political statement. It is the strongest act of self love. It is the strongest act of self care. It is the biggest thing that you can do to become financially independent from systems of oppression. And if you have ever felt oppressed, in any way, in your relationship, in your friendships, in your marriage, in your household, in your city, in your state, in your country, in your job, having enough money to be able to walk away and do what you want, that is the goal. And so I will always have sales programs because bringing money into your business is how you stay in business. And for some reason, we have convinced women that just being cute and being competent is enough. They could just sit over there and be cute and competent, and someone's just gonna walk by and go, "Girl, you cute and competent. I'm gonna pay you $10,000. I'm gonna pay you that money, girl. You know what? You have never marketed to me, but I think I'm gonna pay you some money today. I think that's what I'm gonna do." We've been convinced, and it's not true. It's not real. And once you can get gamified, once you can get lit up, baby, I'm so excited when somebody pays me. If I was in better shape, I'd do a cartwheel. When I think of the lives transformed, I'm so proud. My mom is so proud. I wish you could.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish you could meet my mom. You know what? If you come to my live event, you'll get to meet my mom. She's very shy, but I've gotten her to come out. She's gonna come in person. My mama won't do a Facebook live with me. So the idea that she go fly or drive to Atlanta, it's so important for us to keep the main thing the main thing. And the main thing for me is to be work optional. That is my thing. So your thing is making sure people build in alignment. And I love that. And you target women who are not destitute or in financial duress. They have the space to be able to breathe, to bring their creative vision to life and do it in a way that honors themselves and honors God. I love that. Most of my people come to me because they are already in business and realize there's something that I missed in corporate. I didn't actually know how my old corporate job landed clients. I don't know how they acquire clients. And now I got to acquire clients and I'm missing something, right? And I don't want people to have to work in any capacity. Now, if you want to be on stages at 90, you want to be launching $97 programs from the senior citizen home. If you going to do your little Botox for your VSL, if you want a VSL while you on Medicare, I'm not going to stop. If that's what you want, but I'm going to be very, very, very retired, right? And what that means for me. And so having passive income, having income that supports my livelihood, having money that I don't have to work for. On our last call with Birthright, I actually showed the girls my real SEP IRA that I have never funded a penny into, that Unapologetic Wealth has funded. And I've showed them how much money that wasn't my money has earned. So I said, look at this. My brain created offers that generated clients, that made revenue, that created profit, that paid into my retirement, that the stock market has put gains on. I could be in a coma. It's making money. That is true freedom. When you don't have to show up at all for any reason, that's when you're actually free. So that's what I'm building for people. So I pray that it catches on. I pray that the way that it is catches up. But I'll say this. The mantle on my life, it mandates that I bring more money in the hands of good people. It's what I was called to do. I have to do it. There is no quit in me. So I'm excited to see how things progress. I'm excited to see how the live event does. I love when people invest.
And when is the live event?
Oh, it's September 17th through the 19th in Atlanta. It's surreal. I know you're a live event specialist, but this is my second one.
This not a specialist. I've only had two. The last
I
one I
thought
did
you
was
had
my
like
second
3 or
one.
4. Really? I
No,
thought you had listen, the photos, the people, I was like, how long has she been doing this? I'm a fan.
Thank you.
Let the
I
listeners know
received
I'm a
that.
fan. I'm a fan of redefining wealth. I'm like, okay, redefinition. And then you slap me up the head with that fitness pillar. I was like, oh Lord, She done took me back to a 12th century definition. Bring me back to the 20th century definition. I don't meet the criteria for the old school. It's like the Old Testament. Bring me back that New Testament. I want that New Testament definition.
Girl, you are so silly. No, tell us, what are you teaching at your live event?
Oh, the theme of the live event is main character energy. And I am excited because we're going to help people increase their income, impact, and influence. And I'm just so honored. It's going to be amazing. We're going to have 2 full days of training, a half day of training, essentially around how do you show up as this magnetic brand that
Mhm.
people want to be a part of. The best thing that I've done in my business is galvanize people around my mission. People who really aren't even money driven are drawn to the way that we talk about wealth at Unapologetic Wealth. And what I want for my community is for them to be sought after, well paid, and run well resourced businesses. I don't want you to not be able to travel because you don't have it in your travel budget. I don't want you to not be able to take fewer private clients so that you can spend more time with your spouse. I don't want you to have to work for 2 extra years before you can have that next baby that you want. I don't want you to ever have to make a concession because you don't have enough cash. That is probably the synopsis of the work that I do. If you want to work, if you want whatever you want, cool. But I don't ever want you to have to make a decision against what you desired solely because you didn't have the cash. And that is how most of us were raised. That do you have McDonald's money? Most of us have been ingrained that there's something we want. And if only we had enough money, we have the gumption, we have the ideas, the tenacity, the education, the looks, the feel, the vibe. We serve a big God, but we can't write a check. I don't like
Mm.
that. I don't like that. That rubs me the wrong way. So for everybody who wants to have enough to lead the life they want, I invite them to come through. And of course, we'll have some sales training. I've got some really advanced stuff that works that I'm elated about. We're going to have some messaging clinics because if you cannot succinctly articulate what it is that you are about, you will lose out on qualified prospects. They will choose someone else. And the way that people think you sell to a premium buyer or an affluent buyer is largely incorrect. For instance, people think that rich people just buy anything because they have money. And that is not true. Most of my wealthy clients who are actually decamillionaires, multimillionaires, are pretty frugal. They actually make buying decisions in a calm, structured way. They're not impulsive. That's how they amass all that money and keep it. They're actually very financially, they're stewards of their money. So I'll meet people who will say, my audience is broke and that's why they don't buy. I'm just going to sell to people that have more money. I'm going to sell to these 6-figure people. Okay, but does your magic, does your gift change because this person has more money? You're saying the only qualifier your people are missing is the money. Because I know people who come up with money for cruises, Disney, Louis Vuitton, Range Rovers.
Baby,
If
concert
somebody
tickets.
wants some, let Beyonce drop. Don't Beyonce got
Mhm.
something this month? People will come up with money that they told you yesterday they don't have. So I'm not one of those people that says money doesn't matter and that anybody will pay anything. But please let
Right.
me tell you, if your program was irresistible, people will move heaven and earth to get in it. I got people flying from the UK to come to this event in Atlanta. They don't come to
Mhm.
America. They're making it work. So I think having people in the room around experts, around high level business owners, where we can have these real conversations is so powerful. One of the best outcomes of coaching for me has been being in my coaches' communities, being
Mhm.
in rooms with people who also invest in their personal and professional development. I'm not the only one in the room that's well dressed. I'm not the only one in the room with an MBA. I'm not the only one in the room who's studying a P&L at night, looking at where they can trim and how they can be more profitable. So in addition to really good programming, there's an amazing collective of people. I'm excited. I'm excited.
I'm
It's
excited too. I plan on being there. It's too
listen,
close to my backyard for me not
too
to
close.
come. So
It's
I
too
plan
close.
on
You
being
gotta
there.
come. You gotta come. I think about what God has given me. I think about being a little black girl from Mobile, Alabama, and I think about what God has given me, and I never stop being thankful. And I think that's the difference. Earlier, you mentioned that people forget their roots. I remember
Mhm.
being 8 years old and selling string keychains at Campbell's uniform store as my first business. I remember sitting in the bankruptcy attorney's office with a finance degree. I remember all of
Mhm.
it. So I don't
Mhm.
ever see myself getting so detached from those days where I was hoping we could make payroll somehow by the end of the month that I start
Mhm.
telling people to do all kind of crazy stuff. And I think that my groundedness is part of what makes the leadership so impressive and why I've been able to get people to me when statistically I should not have the business that I have. Like from a
Mhm.
logical standpoint, I shouldn't have it. We don't run ads. I mean, nothing about my
Mhm.
business is logical in the natural, but in the supernatural, there's so many
Amen.
things that are working. And I think it's because I'm decent. And I wish people would just pick up the number one marketing tool, be a decent human being. It gets
Just
you
be a
so
good
much
person.
further.
Operate in integrity. I've said
Love it.
that for so many years as well. Like, just lead with integrity. And for me, that's what chase purpose, not money means. It doesn't mean that
Mhm.
I don't like money, that I don't want money, that I don't manage money. It doesn't mean any of that. But my purpose is not to beat people out of theirs. Like, my purpose is not to take advantage of people. My purpose is
I
not to
know.
profit at any cost. None of that even makes sense to me. Like, it's just have integrity. Like,
It's
just have
scary.
integrity. Make
It's scary.
choices from the lens of just being a good,
I
decent
would be
human being.
terrified. I think that being a human on this earth is already scary. There are natural events and sickness and illness. I just could not bring upon the wrath. I just couldn't be brave enough to go out and do wrong by people and just think that ain't nothing bad gonna happen to me. Like the way my belief system is set up, I would no. I'm very careful about how I treat people. And one of my pillars is actually radical kindness. That's one of the pillars of
Mm.
unapologetic wealth. And if you follow me long enough, anybody listening, we'll put it in the show notes so you can follow my shenanigans on Facebook. I have the best Facebook page online, period. Run by by a creator running their own page. Yes, I'm running the best page that's run by the person who's running their own page. Absolutely. I'm telling you now, I treat people with kindness and I only write things, comment things, say things that I would be okay read in a deposition in a courtroom or put on a
Mhm.
billboard in New York Times Square. If it does not meet those rules, I'm not saying it. I'm not saying anything that could be perceived as snarky or nasty or rude. I ask myself, how does this comment look standalone? Would I want this comment put on a business card and handed out to everybody in Atlanta? And just leading with kindness has been so powerful because sometimes you're the only kind person in somebody's life. I'm blessed that
Amen.
I have parents who love me, a husband who loves me, friends, hundreds of clients, thousands of podcast listeners. I have an outpouring. I will never be lonely in the
Mhm.
business I'm running. I have the choice to never be lonely, but everyone does not have that blessing right now in their life. And you might be the only person they interact with today. Do you really want
Right.
that to be an interaction that harms them or creates little T trauma in their life that they got to get over? The number of people I meet that have coach trauma is
Oh
so
gosh.
scary. And I hate to hear it when people tell me that they've been through this nightmare situation. And I just pray that I never, ever, ever put somebody on a therapist's couch because I couldn't hold my tongue.
Well, here's the thing as we wind down. We both know this. Money only amplifies who you are.
Yes.
And if someone is a high six figure earner or they have a seven figure business and all this stuff, and they end up being nasty and a mean girl or guy, or, taking advantage of people and doing all this stuff, that was already in them. Nothing about having more money created that beast. That beast, that was the sleeping giant within that only needed a few dollars to wake up and roar. And that was that,
Ah,
because you don't all of a sudden become that person because you have access to more money. That is crazy. I've been blessed to befriend billionaires, literally, and they are some of the kindest
yes.
people I have ever encountered in my life. And then you have someone that finally hits six figures and they're a BITCA. Like, girl, what is wrong with you? Like,
Six
what is
figures ain't
actually
even
wrong
that
with you?
much. Six figures ain't even enough. If there was an amount of money that would turn me into a bad person, it's Rihanna level money. I talk about Rihanna a lot because we're the exact same age. We're both born in February of 1988. So maybe if I had a product-based brand where I only had to show up once a year in some lingerie on Valentine's Day, because she's only in the campaigns once a year. Okay, if I had that kind of business and $1 billion, then maybe I could say, okay, I had a right to do whatever. But the problem is that people don't believe you. You're right, but people don't believe it because when people are broke, they are humbled. They might be mean and hateful, but nobody knows it because nobody knows them. Because being
Right.
broke limits you. There's only so many people you can know, and it's only so far you can go away from your house. Maybe they local Walmart cashier know they a hateful person, but everybody can't know because they can't go nowhere because they don't have no gas in their car. So the problem is that once people make money, they have access to more people. And so it seems as though these behaviors are new. No, these behaviors are not new. They're just more widespread. They're just more prevalent behaviors that always had that in them. I went to a HBCU. I used to watch the Qs stroll, and they'd be like, they got that dog in them. It's in them. Some people have a trait in them, and all it needs is the right environment to come out. It's just waiting on that environment. And so I thank God that I've been broke. I've been not broke. One day I will be incredibly, unfathomably, hard to count it in my bank account rich. And I'm still going to be a decent person because that's what's in me. And I'm so glad that's what was instilled in me early. Honestly, I just have the kind of respect for my parents where I could never mistreat a person. Like, even if I wanted to say something or do something foul to you, if I felt like you harmed me and I wanted to retaliate, when I think about my mother, it would give me pause. It would give me pause to act ugly to a person knowing that my mother is alive and will see that. It would feel so disrespectful to how she raised me. So I'm just blessed that I'm covered in so many places. Even if I want to do wrong, I'm like, nah, y'all got it.
For me, that has been my daughter. That has been since she was born. I've lived my life through the lens of if someone ever showed my daughter this picture, this screenshot, this article, this would I be proud? And even that has kept me from literally cussing people out on the internet because sometimes people deserve it,
Oh, they
but
deserve it.
they're not going to get it from me because before my daughter could read, I was thinking about one day she may
Yeah.
read this. And I want her to always be able to look back and have such pride in the
Yeah.
fact that I was her mother. And like I know my mom did the right thing, said the right things. And I know if my mom did say something crazy to you, you deserved it.
You
But she didn't
deserved it.
cuss you out. She definitely
Right.
didn't curse you out. I know that.
Right.
But yeah,
That's
my
how I
daughter
feel
has
about
been
my
that for
mom.
me.
You on the right track. You gonna
Yeah.
listen. I'm afraid of having children. I think part of that is because I know that I will be soft, and I don't know if I'm ready to do that yet. I know it will make me soft. I know it, like marshmallow. And so I don't know if I want to be a marshmallow right now because I'm like a s'more. I need a little edge for the business. I need a little toast on that
It does
marshmallow.
soften
And I
you
know,
up.
yeah, I need that. But that's another part. Like the wealth is so important. We might have to do a whole different episode of this in the future about like me and these investments because I'm telling you, I know stuff about the markets that will blow people's minds. But I feel like the cheat code really is being decent and trusting yourself and believing that no matter what you're going through, that there's still hope on the other side. Optimism
Amen.
is the most understated business advice posture ever. And I grew up a pessimist and I thought that was cute. I thought being a realist was cute. I thought being that person that said, yeah, but was cute. But optimism, knowing that one way or the other, it's going to work out. You're going to work it out. It's going to work itself out. You're going to keep fighting another day. And that your gift is your gift and your people are your people. And if the invoice didn't get paid, you still worthy. If people want to
Amen.
play on the internet, you still having that optimism is that is the key. And I'm a baby optimist. I'm a very new optimist. I'm still strengthening my muscle And anytime that I start to think and have that doubt creep up, I go, you know what? Why not me?
Yeah.
Why not me? Yeah, I understand other people might have something different or something else, but why not me? Why
Yeah.
can't I have it?
Old school optimist. And I will tell
I
you,
love to see. That's
I'm
why
an
I
old
like
school
that.
optimist,
I'm gonna
but I
follow
will
you
tell you
forever.
that delusion, because
I,
sometimes it's pure delusion. Somebody sent me a message the other day, and she was like, "Friend, how are you just always so positive no matter what it is?" And I'm like, I just have delusional faith. I literally don't see anything as a disruptor, right? To me, it's just okay, something to learn and discover on the path, but I'm still headed towards the vision. So these things don't bother me. Some delays are a blessing. It's not as big a deal, but I think for some
mm,
people, I feel it feels kind of like it's easy for you to say. The thing is, I've been doing this for 20 plus years. It's not that it's easy for me to say. In the midst of all of these things, I've filed bankruptcy. I've lost a business, had to lay off 16 people,
oh,
started a new business. I've what homes foreclosed, foreclosure, repossessions, ultimately ended up in this season of my life getting a divorce and all, and I've still been the same person. The consistency is the optimism that in the midst of all of those things, I still believe God. Like in the
yeah,
midst of all of that, I'm still like, but even when I lost all my money, I was like, I lost all my money, but my mind's not bad. That was what I said.
right.
I was like, my mind's not
Right.
bad. So
Woo,
if I created stuff before, I could create
I
it
could
again.
create it
I just have to
again.
figure out what does it look like go because now I'm doing something different or and it's just that optimism
Woo,
that is literally why I'm here. It
you
wasn't
make me
because
want
it
to
was
shout,
easy. So when
honey.
people are
I'm
like,
like,
that's easy for you to say, no, because you're looking at what you perceive of me today. But like I was saying earlier, the things I was saying on Facebook 15 years ago, 16 years ago, are the same things that I live by now. And it's the consistency in those beliefs that give me the conviction and confidence to keep going, even when it looks like I should be in a corner sucking my thumb. Like I will tell people all the time, like, I should probably be more concerned based on external ideas of what this should look. I should probably be more concerned. I'm not
been
though,
there. I'm not though.
but
My
I'm not though.
accountant, I was so worried my accountant was gonna fire me. I was so worried. She wanted to have a meeting and she was just like, we really need to, I've been crunching the numbers and we really need to talk. And I'm on sabbatical, right? And I was like, yeah, I'm not meeting with anyone. I'm on sabbatical. She's like, I understand that, but like right now we need. I'm like, yeah, maybe in 2 or 3 months I'll care, but like right now I don't. She's like, you should care. I was like, listen, we all have our rights and rules, right? If I am not your ideal client because I am not concerned enough right now, that is your prerogative and you can get rid of me. But I'm just telling you today, I have faith that God is going to turn it around. So there's really no point in me meeting with you about these numbers in the natural when I know that God can move things in the supernatural whenever he chooses to. And that he's telling me to rest, and me getting myself real worked up on a meeting about numbers is not going to benefit either of us. And she was
Listen,
like, you're right, you'll turn. She know me. She like, you a salesperson. I know you'll turn it around. I just want to offer. I said, cool. And we good. Like, I'm glad I had the kind of accountant that knows my cadence and how I am. But like, we can't let other people panic us into a panic. That's
oh,
been one of the biggest pieces of leadership that I have learned. Who you surround yourself with on your team is paramount. You cannot have panickers. I don't like anxious. I don't do none of that. If you are the type of person where one down month, one bad launch is going to spiral you into a maybe this ain't the company for me, maybe this ain't going to work for me, then go do something else. This is a startup. It's 3.5 years old. It's going to have some tumultuous periods, but God is still on the throne and I'm still in my right mind and I still have something that people need. Sales is the oldest profession. Yep, even older than that one. So is sales. So there's always going to be a need to learn how to bring clients and revenue predictably into a business. There will never be a
mhm.
period in time with AI and space travel and whoever's in office. There will never be a period in human history where goods are not bought and sold.
Right.
Commerce will always exist. So I have an infallible business in terms of we offer something every single person in business will always need. So I'm good. And you got to feel that way. And I don't care what you sell. I don't care if you sell fitness, personal development, better sex life. I don't care. Someone needs what you have. But if you don't believe that, that's the problem. It ain't the sales strategy. It's not the coach. It's your belief system. And I have really picked up a delusional belief system that one way it's going to work out. I also have decided that the how is not my job.
Baby,
The how is
say
not my
that.
job. I used to wrap myself all up in the how. I used to do it with my team. I want this, but I don't know what software. Maybe you can try this and try that and send me this and send me that. Now, this is my vision. This is what I want. Y'all smart. Y'all go off and figure out the logistics and you bring it back to me so I can approve or deny or request a revision. And it's been better for me as a leader. It's been better for them. And it's been better for that is the key. I'm not worried about the how. God, this is what I desire. You said you would give me the
Mhm.
desire of my heart. That's what my heart wants. You figure it out. You have all the skills, all the talent, you have all the resources available at your fingertips. There's no point in me worrying myself to death about, oh, it's the 27th. How are we going to hit our revenue goal? I could close a $50,000 deal on the last day of the month and make up for 3 months of deficit if it needed to happen. So that's been powerful as well, leaving the linear employee mindset behind. That's the only part of the employee mindset that is harmful, I believe, is the linear nature of payment. When you work a job, you're used to getting payment on a cadence that is constant. Every 2 weeks, you get a check. Every week, you get a bonus. Every this and that. As an entrepreneur, your revenue is not linear, at least not in the beginning. I don't know anybody whose first 2 years were, I know exactly how much money is going to come into this account every
Right.
month. So that is the hard part, trying to keep yourself level when the revenue is not yet. Now, over time, I've created systems to bring more predictability into our revenue, but I'll be the first to admit sometimes the launch just didn't do what it was supposed to do. You
Right.
did everything in your launch plan, you did everything you were supposed to do, you promoted, you marketed, you wrote great copy, the sales page was amazing, the branding was great, the photos were great, and people just didn't buy it. Having that space to be able to say, it is okay if this did not meet my expectation, but I'm not going to quit. There was value in the experience and I'm going to replicate it. And I'm not going to beat myself up because this number didn't happen. That is the key to being happy as an entrepreneur. If you can get over that mindset hurdle, everything from there is gravy. And so now
Yeah.
this year is starting off great, but like I'm optimistic either way because I
Mhm.
feel as though my calling can't fail. So if this is what I'm called to do, then it
Mm.
has to happen. And there's no point in me worrying myself to death about how God is going to make sure that he gets the glory for my calling. We need to stop taking on other people's jobs. We need to stop taking on that's God's job. And we do it in our sales process too. We try to convince people to buy. That's the prospect's job. We try to find the money for them to buy. That's their job. We can't be taking on all these side quests. Y'all like Snoop Dogg. Snoop at the Olympics, Snoop in the Red Bull commercial, Snoop doing everything. But you know what? Snoop was focused on rap for 30 years before he started
Yes.
doing
And Shaquille
XYZ.
O'Neal too on everything. You
Exactly.
go
He,
down
he
a
was he was
aisle in this
secure.
grocery store, he's on
Right.
everything.
That wasn't year one. That was a year 20 strategy. So if you on year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, you got to be focused on your job. Your job is bringing the vision of your company to life. That is your full-time job. Convincing, begging, low-level tech problems, being your own VA, doubt, worry, fear, insecurity, messing up your own taxes. None of that's your job. So when people tell me they're busy, but they're not making the money that they want, I know you're busy doing other people's jobs. Absolutely. You're trying to do God's job. You're doing someone else's job. Because if you were only doing your job, you would have the space to be able to lead. You have to stop doing other people's jobs. And that includes the people that you love so much. Your team, stop doing their job. If you got somebody who you assign a task to and they don't do the task, and you start thinking, I should just do this myself, it would be faster if I do it. You're the problem. Because that person will never learn to do that task well and up to your standard if you step in and do it. In fact, they're not doing it because they know you'll step in and do it, and they know that you're still going to
Listen.
pay them.
Ooh,
So if you really
listen.
want great workers, then you're going to have to allow them space to fail. Give them a task.
Okay, but we're also going to have to acknowledge when we have hired incorrectly for a position.
Absolutely.
I
Oh,
think we
absolutely.
also have to be radically honest, because I
Oh,
think a
yeah.
lot of times, especially early in business, but even as you continue, and I've been guilty of this, I've talked about it on the podcast. I hire based on emotions. I used to
Same.
hire because I liked people and I
Same.
like them, and oh, I can train them to do the thing. If they
Same.
have this base level understanding, oh, I train
Right.
them to do the thing.
No,
And
you
I
can't.
I have funded frustration more times
Then I can count.
than I
But
can
they
count.
didn't
When
learn
I
any
said I
better.
was paying for peace, I ended up funding frustration.
Funded
And
frustration. Now I'm very smart. I first is culture fit. So I actually defined the culture of unapologetic wealth. That was one of my tasks last year. I have a culture fit document. It has a user guide for me. There's a Natalie Bullen user guide. I'll send it to you. You'll enjoy it. But it's here's what you need to know about me before you even think about applying to this job. This is what I like. This is what I don't like. This is what I'm for. This is what I'm not for. And so if that rub you the wrong way, don't bother. And then I made a document of the culture of unapologetic wealth, integrity, honesty, and everything I list, radical kindness. I even put that my people need to be morning people. You need to be happy at 8 o'clock in the morning. Happy at 8 o'clock in the morning. If you are miserable at 8 o'clock in the morning, if you need 2 energy drinks and 7 cups of coffee, and you had a fight with your husband and you hate your dog and you this and that, you're not the right person. I need somebody who wakes up in a good mood, positive person. It's in my company culture. So I set that up. And if they're not a culture fit, they aren't a fit. That's the number one feedback I can give people. I used to hire for skill. Then did I like them? And then last, did they work for my company? So then I would end up with people who were skilled at the thing that I couldn't stand because the way that they worked and the way that I worked were always at odds. But I was dependent on their skill set because I needed them to do the thing. So now I got folks who I need. I'm dependent on their skill. I don't like them. They probably don't like me. They're a bad reflection on my business. And I'm paying them every 2 weeks like a dummy. So now
begrudgingly.
culture first. Culture first. If they don't fit the culture, they're not a fit. I also don't try to convert entrepreneurs to employees anymore because people want to put you on these $2, $3, $4, $5,000 retainers, and they want to work 10 hours
Oh, girl.
and they want to be strategists, and they don't want to do none of the work, and they off for 2 weeks in the summer, and they go to Europe in the fall, and what?
I'm
They
so
don't work
over
out.
that too. Oh,
So
Nat, I am
now I'm
so
like,
over that.
listen, I'm hiring hourly, and you're going to track time. How about
That
that?
part.
I'm going to pay hourly rate and you're going to track time. You're going to submit a timesheet. I'm going to approve it and you're going to be paid on the Friday after that approval. That's what's going to happen. And if I feel as though you are cooking the books, you're not doing the work you said, the project is not on the timeline that you stated the timeline would be, you're fired. I also do test projects now, and I put multiple people on projects. So I used to, I like this person. Let me give them a little small task. No, now I get 3 or 4 people. And I give them all tasks on the same level. So maybe not the exact same task because I don't want to waste their time. But I pay them for the project. And I only give them the amount of information that I would have time to give in the middle of a launch. So I pretend like I'm mid-launch and frazzled. And I give them just enough information to get it done. I might say something like, you know what? I need to have a blog post about a revenue engine. I know I made a Facebook post somewhere about lead gen and lead nurture and lead close. Can you find that post and find that Facebook Live and make a blog out of it? I don't tell them what date. I don't tell them what time. I don't know if it was a month ago, a week ago. I want to see, can you search my page and find it? Because I have a content mountain. And if you can't navigate my content mountain, you can't get the job as my marketing coordinator because I have a compulsion to post on the internet. I'm not going to stop. So if you cannot find things on my page, you can't get the job. It's just that simple. So now I've avoided so much frustration, Patrice. Last time I did a test project, 3 of the 4 people failed. And all 3 of them interviewed. All 3 of them had degrees in the right industry. All 3 of them were in the price range I was willing to pay. And all 3 of them had at least one glowing review from a person I knew. I
Wow.
would have made a huge error had I not given them test projects with deadlines. Two of them did not meet the deadline. One met the deadline and gave me terrible work. One of them came to me early and said, "Hey, I do not have enough information to complete the task. I know that you're busy right now, but I just have two quick questions that will allow me to get this done to you on time. Do you have time for two quick questions?" We got on Zoom. She asked me two questions. We was in and out in 10 minutes. And she turned in her work 2 days before the deadline. And that is the person who now has the job. But I
Mhm.
probably would have picked one of those other three based on my old criterion.
Yeah, you saw me post on Facebook. This year it's not vibes. We verifying things. Like
Everything.
vibes don't
Ain't no
exist
more
anymore.
vibes.
I love that. I love that as a
Yeah.
process.
So that's what we're doing now. It's a process. I love it, but we're not convincing. I don't convince prospects. So why am I convincing team members? I used to do that. I used to find people who were great at copy, great at ads, and be like, "You sure you don't want to be my employee? You sure you don't want to be on retainer on my team? You sure you don't want to do this work? We could really use somebody like you." Like I would be trying to sell myself to paying somebody every month. Like it's crazy when you think about it. And now I'm very much, this company is sound. This company is financially solvent. This company is led by an integral leader. This company is going to be major. This is the ground floor of a startup that you want to be involved with. If you qualify, if you are of high caliber, we invite you to apply. I
Mhm.
don't do none of that sliding in my DMs. "Hey, Nat, I saw where you do this and that. I can help you with." No, you can't. I'll let you know when the job posting is up. And you can go over there on LinkedIn. You can fill out your application. We can screen you. We can look for certain things. I also won't hire people who don't have job experience or real world experience outside of online, because
Oh.
the person who's working as my interim, I also bring them in interim. So we do a 90-day trial after the
Mhm.
test. You apply, then we test, then we trial. And at the end of the 90-day trial, if we
I
both
love this.
agree that there's still good synergy, then we can talk about what longer term commitments look like. But they come into it knowing I'm committing to 90 days of pay, pursuant that the work is still of caliber, and we can discuss at that point. So I've got one that's in the 90 days now.
Mhm.
Great application, great test, had outside work experience, journalism degree, bulldog with research, quick with data, somebody who can bring structure to the organized chaos that I tend to run in my world. And when we met, I told her, I said, "Look, these are some things you need to know about me, and these are some things that I'm not going to do." And she's like, "Oh, I've already been researching you. I've already been watching you. I've already read your user guide. So I know what you're not going to tolerate. So I think me and you will be a good fit." Like a confident person, not
Mhm.
somebody who just need a check, who is just like, "Hey, my business is not doing well right now. Can I come freelance for you for a little while?" Because those people are actively trying to build their own business back up. They don't actually want to build yours. I'm
Right.
determined in this year to only work with people who see the vision. If you don't see the
Mm.
vision of unapologetic wealth, if you can't see me on stage in front of 10,000 people, if you can't hear them cheering, if you can't see the signs that say unapologetic wealth, if you don't see me up there shaking hands with Mark Cuban, if you don't see me as a venture capitalist, if you don't see me in a house in Malibu, if you can't envision right now, you don't belong on my team. You got to be fully bought into the idea that I'm even bigger than you think that I am. And that has been such a determinant, because it draws out people who are ego driven. When you tell somebody something like that and they're ego driven and they want to build their own business and they just trying to collect a check from you until they can figure their stuff out, they're very repelled by that. They're like, "Ew, who she thinks she is?" But when you get
Good.
the right person, they're like, "I would love to help you build that vision." That's exactly
Mhm.
the vision I see for you. We're going through a rebrand, new colors, new palettes. My husband's going to take beautiful photos of me. All the photos you've ever seen of me, my husband took. And so I know that next level Natalie is so certain. I'm not setting a word of the year, but if I did, it would be certain.
Mhm.
It would be
I love it.
certain that the things that I see are now going to come out into the natural, because I've always seen them. I've seen them since I was a child, but now I feel like I can touch them a little. I feel like they're becoming tangible for me. And so I don't know, I honor you in this podcast and the work that you're doing. I think it's phenomenal. And your level of resilience is so refreshing. It's so refreshing to talk to someone who understands what it takes to be successful and even interested in shortcuts. I feel like shortcuts and detours were offered to you and you just strolled.
Girl,
You just didn't even slow
that's
down. You didn't even think,
a
oh,
whole
maybe
episode.
that's good. That's a
Yeah,
whole
that's a
thing.
whole
It's so
episode.
powerful. So I
Yeah.
honor you. As we wrap this up, I just thank God for you. I'm impressed and I'm proud and I'm thankful.
I am impressed, proud, and thankful that you were here. And wow, this was a blessing. It's actually just going to be two episodes because it was so good. I just couldn't stop. And this last part, my calling can't fail. Oh, I
It
feel
can't
that. I
fail.
feel it can't
It's
fail.
the
And
certainty. It can't fail. And so once you
the
know that,
certainty, the
woo,
clarity of the vision. You
yeah,
sound like
yeah,
someone who sees a vision. And I do believe that in
yeah,
order to see it with our physiological eyes, we have to first see it in our mind's eye.
yeah,
And the enthusiasm and the passion that you speak from, you are someone who has visualized this. You see it, you believe it, and I know it's
yeah,
going to happen. Like I'm sold out. And that's the type of clarity and conviction that is necessary to enroll people, whether they be team members or clients or family. That's the type of energy you have to have. If you are talking about your vision, I don't know, maybe it could kind of be, I mean, I've kind of thought about, if your vision sounds wishy washy and like you're straddling the fence, nobody is excited to get behind that. And I'm definitely excited. I'm coming to Unapologetic Wealth. I actually am doing Redefining Wealth in September this year, and I'm intentionally avoiding your dates because I want to make sure that
oh,
I can be at Unapologetic Wealth and that anyone in this community that wants to do both can do both.
oh, I'm
You
so
know,
honored.
so
I'm so honored.
yeah,
That
I
just
think it's
warms my heart.
incredible.
Thank you
I
for
think
not
it's
making people
incredible.
pick. Thank you for not competing with me.
No, I think
I'm
it's
over
in
here
I
like,
think it's
don't do it, sis.
incredible.
Don't do it. Don't
No,
pick
I
my
think it's
dates,
incredible.
please.
No, I haven't solidified it. I'll know within the next couple weeks. But when I saw your dates, I had already DM'd you. I think it told you that I want to come to your event, but or maybe put it in a
I,
comment. But
I might
I'm
have to
definitely
have you
going
talk to
to.
the VIPs. I don't know. Now I'm like, wait a minute. They might have to
Whatever you
meet
need,
me.
I'm a text away. Don't you worry. But thank you so much for
Mm.
being here. Thank you for your heart. Thank you for your vision. Thank you for your integrity. I think I'm so drawn to you because you're so authentic. You're so unapologetically yourself. You're so consistent, and your heart is so clear that you are for the people. And I think for me, such a big thing in this season, it's like scales falling from your eyes. They're just, my heart breaks for how many people, because they also talk about God or because they sound like they're using the same words, actually have been the furthest from that. And
Yeah.
whenever I can put good people in front of my people, then that's always what I'm going to do. And I definitely feel like if I send people to you, which I have already, that they would be safe with you. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for being
Mm.
here, and continue blessings to you. For everyone who's listening, I'm going to drop all the details about Nat in the show notes, and definitely put more about Unapologetic Wealth Live in September here in Atlanta. It will not conflict with Redefining Wealth Live. So you could do both. You might as well just come to Atlanta for a week. Maybe I'll be the week before or the week after. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But or just do whatever feels most aligned for you in this season. Whatever you need next, then that's where you need to be, because there's more than enough. We live in an abundant space, and you can support both at the same time. Tell me what you thought about these episodes in the Redefining Wealth app. I would love to hear your feedback. Maybe we could get Nat in there to talk to us about something one day. I'm going to try to pull her in here
Hey.
and see. And yeah, until next week, you guys, I want you to go live your life's purpose, find fulfillment, and keep earning more without feeling like you have to be someone who chases money. I'll talk to you later.